a lot of talk lately about the emotional eating, and why it happens, how it happens, and sometimes how we don't even notice that it's happening. So I was going to talk today about that. Um, I will keep going. Oh, let me know if you can't see me on Facebook. So a couple of things happen, and usually we feel and a chemical reaction happens in our brain when um, an emotion comes about. So there's a reaction, and then the emotion is then later after the reaction to whatever the event is. So, for example, in anger or fear, generally we notice that the event, or unconsciously notice what's going on with an event. We get scared or angry, and we either run or we fight or hide. Fight, flight, or flee. Fight, flight, or freeze. So that's how we get that fight or flight reaction happening. The emotion comes after we've gone and our unconscious mind has gone, oh, what was that? Where do I need to label that? Where can I put what sort of feeling? Where can I file that in my feeling system in my brain? Has anyone seen Inside Out, the movie? I think it's a Disney or a Pixar movie, where it's about all the emotions that live in someone's head. So our unconscious mind actually does that. When we're born, our brain, you're born into the world and you're screaming because you're cold and you've been in this really nice place, warm, beautiful, quiet, watery place, and then you're born and you're going, oh my god, what is this place? This is not fun. I want to go back. And then once you're comforted and you're held in your mum's hands or arms or whatever's going on for you, your unconscious mind looks back and goes, what was that? We need to know what that was so that we can plan for that and prepare for that next time that happens. So it goes and labels that and sort of files it up into that filing cabinet up there that is that whatever that emotion was that you were having at that time. Then a couple of days later you start screaming again because you're hungry and nobody's listening, so you're getting angry again. Then you get fed and everything settles down and your unconscious mind reflects again and goes, oh, what was that? That was the same as the other day. Let's label that event in there the same way. So you start to create little filing systems for each different emotion that you have. So what we know is that we feel it in our body generally before we know what the emotion is, generally before we've labeled or can actually verbalize what we're feeling. And the same thing happens when we respond to that feeling with eating or trying to make ourselves feel better in some way. So this is where feeling versus numbing comes into it. So we numb because we don't like pain. Basically, our unconscious mind doesn't want us to feel pain. And pain is perceived pain, physical pain, mental pain, emotional pain, could be any of those things. Our unconscious mind tries to help us find ways not to feel that again. What's really interesting about emotions and the link to how we eat is that there's a system in our brain called the limbic system, and that is where where a lot of emotional processing happens, and it's usually a very unconscious area. The limbic system, interestingly enough, is also where we pick up on a lot of smells. So there is a very strong link between emotions and smells. Think fresh bread, baking, think a home-cooked roast meal. What sort of emotion does that bring up when you think about those foods? And then that's traditional. I've been baking all week cookies, and I make almond bread every year. We made rum balls, we made gingerbread, I've made raspberry syrup. And they're my own traditions that I've made. But every year when I smell that almond bread cooking, I'm like, yes, it's Christmas. And that brings up an emotional feeling for me. So you can see how easy it could be to emotionally eat without even being aware of doing it. So the first part of getting through that, I guess, is you can't really deal with it unless you make that unconscious effort to go make the unconscious conscious. It's very, very easy for that emotional eating to become a habit, particularly if we get a good feeling at the end of it. So if you've ever felt something and it hasn't felt right for you, and then you've gone and eaten something that gives you like, oh yeah, that's comforting, or I feel nice when I've eaten that, or have a coffee and that feels good, or a hot chocolate, or ice cream, or whatever it might be, and you get a good feeling after you've eaten that food, your unconscious mind makes that quick link again that, okay, we didn't feel good, we had that food, that made us feel better. So you can see how very quickly emotional eating can become a habit, and you can go not from, I don't feel good, where's the food? And then literally skip that processing part because your unconscious mind's already done it. And it's created a really, like a fast track to feeling better. I guess I'm going to challenge everyone, and this might not be the best week to do this, but it could also be a really good week to do it. What emotions come up when you have certain smells? So if you smell something, can you identify an emotion about how that makes you feel? Apart from just, I feel good, can you identify an emotion around that? And do you tend to embrace that emotion, or and can you eat mindfully when you've smelt whatever the food is that's cooking, or do you find you're just eating it because you love the flavor and you love how it makes you feel? I'd be really interested to see what happens. Particularly, this is a good week to do it because I'm sure there's a lot of this little thing has come up in Facebook again. It's a good week to do it because I'm sure there's a lot of traditional foods and drinks and situations where we would eat socially or with friends and family that also could spark other like really strong emotional reactions. I'd love to hear what you all think. Hello, I can't see who's watching. Hi to everyone who's watching on Facebook and Instagram. Yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything that you know of straight off the top of your head that you think, yep, that's what I feel.